بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على سيدنا ونبينا محمد وعلى آله الطيبين الطاهرين واللعنة الدائمة الأبدية على أعدائهم أجمعين إلى قيام يوم الدين. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. This is lesson 8 and we are done with the qawaid. We are done with the qawaid, the principles which are principles of evaluation and principles to resolve the conflict. And we took two examples. There are more, but in this basic introductory level, we took only two examples, the conflict between justification and defamation and the conflict between Najashi and others. Now we take fawaid. Fawaid are not qawaid, not like black and white rules to be implemented on the doubtful case, but they help somehow. They are helpful points which can clarify a lot of things for a person who is investigating about a narrator. So fawaid are beneficial facts. Then we have these problems with names. Then we have the sanad of the four early compiled books: Al-Kafi, Al-Istibsar, Al-Tahdhib, Man La Yahdhur Al-Faqih, Al-Usul Al-Arba', the four books of our hadith compiled, not Sahih, but the first compiled books of hadith, source of fiqh. And what do we say? Idda of Tusi and Najashi. If we find somebody in the Idda of Tusi or Idda of Najashi, what would we say about that? So let's take the fawaid. What is fawaid? Fawaid, since this science deals with identity of the narrators, there is a big issue in identifying a few names. Identifying a few names. Some are technical issues, while others are intellectual. Another point we will study is the sanad of the four early compiled books of hadith. Problems with the names. The issue creates confusion between. So there's a confusion between like the similar names. They create confusion. Similar names, they create confusion. So the issue creates confusion between the two narrators. One is trusted and other is defamed. If they both were trusted, that's fine. Or if they both were defamed, that's fine. But when somebody's trusted, somebody's defamed, and they have similar names, and when this name comes in the hadith, we don't know this narrator is from the defamed one or from the praised one. So that's where we have a problem. So because of the difficulty in defining which one is who, this kind of problem, if it exists, the Rejali looks into several things which helps him solve this type of problem, such as the context of the narration, from whom he narrates and to whom he narrates, and the historical context. So let's say if there is a hadith talking about Ma'mun, so that means this guy narrates something in the time of Imam Rida alayhi salatu wasalam. So let's say one narrator, same names. One narrator was in the time of Imam Rida, one narrator was in the time of Imam Sadiq alayhi salam. They both have same names. One was good, one was bad. Or one was justified, one was defamed. One was praised, one was defamed. So which one I'll take? If I see the content talks about Imam Rida's time, that means this narrator is in this time. So this narrator is the defamed one. So to define, we have to look into the context. We have to look from who he narrates. He narrates from Imam Rida alayhi salam. So he must be from the defamed and not from the praised one, which was in the time of Imam Sadiq. So the content, historical content, or the context, or whom he narrates, or to whom he narrates. So let's say he narrated to Ali ibn Ibrahim al-Qummi. So this must be somebody from not in the time of Imam Sadiq, because Ali ibn Ibrahim al-Qummi was close to the time of Imam Hasan al-Askari alayhi salam. So that means it must be the one with close to the Imam Rida's time. So these from who he narrates, or to whom he narrates, or what is the historical context, and which Imam he narrates from, all these things, they can define which narrator is the defamed one and which narrator is the praised one. Then some problems with the names. I'tilaf and ikhtilaf. I'tilaf means harmonious, harmonical, not like there is no problem in it. Ikhtilaf, problem. So these are written in one way, but pronounced, so there is no ikhtilaf in the written form. So they are harmonious, they are synonyms, but the meanings are different. So, but these two people are different people. I mean, they are read in a different way. These are written in one way, but pronounced in two different ways. Like read and read. So he read the book. He's reading the book. So they both are same, but they are pronounced differently. Okay, they're pronounced differently. So one is imperative, read the book. One is past, he read the book. So read and read, they both have same spelling. So there's the spell. So there's ikhtilaf, but there's the meaning is ikhtilaf. There's a difference in the meaning. So these are written in one way, but pronounced. Okay, there are many errors of such type in the books of non-Shia Imamis. But in the book of Shia scholars, Rejaals, there are 13 cases noted. So 13 cases where the names are written same form, but are pronounced differently. And when they are pronounced differently, and one is defamed and one is praised, so now there comes a problem. Is it bayan or banan? Like those days, they did not have these dots. So bayan and banan. Banan in Swedish means banana. Let me just see if I can bring my chalk. Okay, so here. So one is bayan, one is banan. Due to the wipe of the ink or something, this dots here disappear and this dots disappear. So now we don't know this is the bayan guy or the banan guy. Okay, so this is what happens when we have this. Let me see. Clear? MashaAllah, so fast. Last week we were struggling. We had to erase everything, but now it just clear, delete, goes away. So, so therefore, this bayan and banan and Rashid and Rushaid and Maytham and Maytam. So let's take Rashid and Rushaid. So Rashid, Rushaid. Obvious in English, it's obvious. So this is Rashid, this is Rushaid. So Rushaid has a dhamma, but we don't have the dhamma. That's the only difference. And one is good and one is bad. So which one is this? Is it Rashid or Rushaid? So this was one. And then we have Maytham and Maytam. Maytham and Maytam with two dots. So this is one dot here. So somehow this one dot disappears. Now we have Maytam, Maytam. Maytham was good and Maytam was not good. So which one is this? Is it the praised one or the defamed one? So this is how we have the situation. Now we come to the next type of problem in the names. Ittifaq, iftiraq. Yet they are in agreement, yet they are in disparity, disagreement, iftiraq. Similarity in his name, his father's name and grandfather's name. The names are completely similar, but yet different, such as Aban, son of Arqam. There are 3 such names, but the 3 have different family names. And when the family name does not exist, we have a problem. Which one is this? Is it the defamed one or the praised one? The confusion happens, especially if one of them was not trusted. Al-Ishtibah. Because of the confusion of the scholar, the name gets mixed. The father's name becomes the son, and son becomes the father. this happens many times in the Ibn al-Ghadairi. They say Ibn al-Ghadairi, but who Ibn al-Ghadairi? Ibn al-Ghadairi the father or Ibn al-Ghadairi the son? They both were scholars of Rejaal. Or Ibn Uqda. Ibn Uqda the father or Ibn Uqda the son? No, not Ibn Uqda, sorry, Ibn Fudal. Ibn Fudal the father or Ibn Fudal the son? Which one? They both were Ibn Fudal. Some people, they will, because it becomes popular. Son of Fudal, he said this. Son of Fudal. They would not say son of Fudal, the father. In the time of father, they used to call him son of Fudal. When he died, in the time of son, they used to call him Ibn Fudal. So this Ibn Fudal, there are two Ibn Fudals. One is father, one is son. However, sometimes the name gets mixed up between the father and the son, and that is called al-ishtibah. Because of the confusion of the scholars, the name gets mixed up. The father's name becomes the son's, and the son becomes father's. Like Walid, son of Muslim, and Muslim, son of Walid. So these two names are, one is father, one is son. But which one? Is this the father or the son? So they get mixed up with these names. Unless the father was just and son was unjust, so there we have a problem. So we don't have a problem if these names, all of them are defamed or all of them are praised. We have a problem if some of the names are praised, some of the names are not praised. Al-ishtirak, common name shared between two or more. One is trusted and one is not trusted, such as Ibn Sinan. Ibn Sinan, there are several Ibn Sinan. And Muhammad ibn Qais, there are several Muhammad ibn Qais. So what will happen? Again, we have to look at the context and the content and from whom and to whom. If we can't figure it out, the person is unknown, question mark. We can't rely on it because then the narration is doubtful. Because if the narrator is doubtful, trusted or not trusted, the narration becomes doubtful. So the narration is weak narration. So see how important it is to define the narrator is trusted or not trusted. Because the narration will depends on the authenticity and validity of the narration, depends on this. And then ishtihar, famous. A narrator becomes famous by a title, such as Abu Dharr, the companion of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, or Abu Basir, the companion of Imam Sadiq and Imam Bakr alayhi salatu wasallam. These people used to be very famous by their titles. So they were known by their title. Very few people, they knew them by their names. And that's more worse problem. Like for example, Abu Ali. Now there's so many Abu Ali. When you have this person who's Abu Ali, because it's mustahab to call people with their titles. So now this Abu Ali, that Abu Ali, and you're sitting in a group of Iraqi brothers. And Iraq is, mashallah, they have a lot of Abu Alis. So you're sitting with these Iraqi brothers, and once you say, Ya Abu Ali, everybody will pay attention. Sheikh is calling us, not you. So we have to put another title with it. Abu Ali al-Bajillai, Abu Ali al-Madri al-Chirpai, Abu Ali al-Hamoudi, Abu Ali al-Hassuni, Abu Ali al-Baghdadi, Abu Ali al-Najafi. We have to title two titles for them because everybody is Abu Ali. So this is the case. Where Abu Dharr, like there are several Abu Dharr. Now, which Abu Dharr is this? Okay, the companion or Abu. So these people used to be very famous by their titles. Trust me, there are some Iraqis I know by their titles. I do not know their names at all. It's a beautiful thing because our Aimmas, they encourage people that call them by the title since childhood. Since your son is or daughter is like a baby, not baby like baby, you can call them while they're baby. But once they start, respect them. They will learn the respect from that time. This has a psychological role. So our Aimmas, there are some hadith that kannu abna'akum, call them with kunya, okay? Instead of calling the Hassuni, Masuni, Hamoudi, Allawi, come on. The guy, okay, he was wearing diaper, or in Urdu speaking, Mammu, Pappu. This guy is like white beard and grandchildren, Mammu, Pappu. So what is this? So, and this in Iraq is Hassuni. But the guy is now beardy and he has children and descendants. Until he's Hassuni, the diaper guy, the one was wearing diaper with heavy stuff in the diaper. And Hassuni ta'al, Mammu ajaw Mammu, Pappu come here, Mammu come here. No, the Ahl al-Bayt alayhim, they teach us to have the kind of like a dignified state for the child since the childhood. Anyhow, let's come back to this. That's another session. So these were like famous, and they became famous in their title. Instead of becoming Pappu famous, they became famous with these kunya. So their titles. So when they narrate, the listener narrates their narrations, mentioning their titles, not their name, without their name. So when they are mentioned, they get mixed up with others who have the same title. Therefore, it creates confusion in the work of the Rijalis, and requires great efforts and time from the Rijalis to identify certain. They have to look into the history, a lot of things. Identify such narrator's name who has been mentioned by his title only, and is confused by others who have the same title. Some of the scholars, like Al-Allama in Al-Khulasa, Allama Al-Halli has his book Khulasa, remember? The summary. They find many of the confused titles and identified them. Allama Al-Halli, he took all this, he collected all these titles and he started, oh, this one is this. So a lot of work was done, basically. Rahmatullahi ala al-Allama. Let's see. Sanad. Now we are done with those fawaid of the names. Now the sanad of the 4 compiled books, Al-Kafir, Al-Sibsarta. So they have this word which is called iddah. Iddah means the period. If a woman, her husband dies, she has to wait iddah for 4 months and 10 days. If a woman is divorced, she's pregnant, her iddah is until she is relieved from her pregnancy. Iddah of a woman who's divorced and has period, 3 periods, and so on. That is iddah we find in the chapter of talaq. But ilm al-hadith, iddah means significant amount of number, fixed amount of number, fixed amount of time. So Shaykh al-Tusi, he said, I narrate from Fulan, who narrates from Fulan, who narrates from Fulan, and Fulan, and Fulan. Okay? So instead of saying this everywhere, so those who copied the book of Shaykh al-Tusi, they saw there is a common sanad. And even Shaykh al-Kulayni, even Shaykh al-Tahdhib. There is a sanad which is similar in most of the narrations. So majority of the narrations, they have one type of sanad. There are other narrations, they have different sanad. Sanad means the link chain of narrators. So this chain of narrators is more similar in most. So instead of repeating, and you know that those times the paper was very expensive, very costly. They really used to use papers like with care. Nowadays, papers are lying here and there. We have taken things as granted. You know, the paper is costly. It costs a lot of effort. A lot of ecosystem is involved in the paper. Okay, so these papers, they used to really, because they were expensive at that time, they used to really be careful. So they said, now if we are going to write all the same sanad everywhere, just let it make it short. Iddatul Tusi. That means the famous chain of narrators of Shaykh al-Tusi. Iddatul Kulayni, Iddatul Faqih, Shaykh al-Saduq. So in these books, when the hadith is mentioned, it is mentioned with the link of the narrators to the infallible, alayhi salam. But in many hadith, when the narrators are same and trusted in the opinion of the authors of the 4 books, or in the opinion of the narrator from whom the author took his narration, they say iddah. So for you to your ayn comes out, I put this apostrophe. Iddah, okay, means couple of known narrators. Instead of mentioning all the narrators for the sake of brevity, they just say, so we have Iddatul Kulayni, Iddatul Tusi, Iddatul Saduq, because we have 4 books. 2 of the books are for the giant Shaykh al-Tusi, okay? So Allama al-Kulaini, Allama al-Tusi, and Allama Sheikh Saduq. Sheikh al-Tusi, Sheikh Saduq. Sometimes they mention the word Jama'ah. Now, if you like Jama'ah means group of people. Like in the Khoja communities and the Ismailis and the Bohras, they call their communities Jamaat. Jamaat is Jama'at. Jama'at is Jama'ah. So Jama'at al-Khoja, Jama'at al-Bohra, Jama'at al-Ismailiyya, Agha Khaniyun, Jama'at, Jama'at. So Jama'at, they write with the ain, yani Jama'ah. So sometimes they mention the word Jama'ah, group of known narrators instead of Idda. That means the narrators in the link are known, Jama'ah. But known to who? Known to the narrator. So the question rises that are all these narrators of Idda trusted? Okay, is being in the link of the Idda, one of this Idda, is a kind of indication of being trusted? Is it like Ali ibn Ibrahim al-Qummi we said? Is it justification? So these narrators who are in the Idda require the same investigation in their evaluation like any other narrator of Hadith. Because many times these ulamas, they used to narrate through narrators, they had justified them based on their ijtihad. So investigation is important. Do they testify? Do they give their testimony, witness that these are just, or just they have kept in their link? So if they have kept in their link, so they have to do the amana, trustworthiness, that they have to narrate as they received it. So that means they could not be verifying these narrators. They were collectors of the hadith. They used to do the collection of the hadith. The iddah in the two fahris. Now those were iddah of the books of hadith. Now we have also in the books of Rejaal, fahris of Najashi, fahrist with a T of Sheikh al-Tusi. They have also iddah because their testimony was narrations. The mutaqaddimun, they say, I heard Fulan, so Fulan who heard Fulan, who heard Fulan, who saw Fulan, he was a very trustworthy person. So the testimony of the mutaqaddimun, the early ones, are narrations. So if they are narrations, I heard Fulan and Fulan and Fulan. So sometimes Najashi chops off his sanad and iddah. Sheikh al-Tusi does the same, iddah, for the same reasons we mentioned in the books of hadith. As for Najashi, as far as Najashi is concerned, we have mentioned before that Najashi only narrates from the trusted ones. So if he says iddah, that means being in the iddah of Najashi is rubber stamp, perfect. That means his iddah has trusted narrators in it. As far as Sheikh al-Tusi's iddah in his book Fahrast, as far as the Sheikh al-Tusi's iddah in his book Fahrast is concerned, it has been considered by the Rijalis that it contains trusted narrators. So unlike the iddah of the books of hadith, they need investigation. Books of Rijal, if they have iddah from Sheikh al-Tusi and Sheikh al-Najashi, close your eyes and take it. And then finally, Dr. Abdul Hadi al-Fadli mentioned titles of imams. The book is like 200 pages. People say, how have we done so soon 200 pages? Because most of the books is all biographies and names and types of the names and different. So we just taught you principles which you can open the book of Rijal and try to investigate a hadith. Okay. So the companions of the infallibles. These are mentioned in the book of, I'm just mentioning for the sake, because the lesson finished, I have to fill in the gap, because I was told to make 10 lessons of Rijal. I said, I don't have that much information. The book is squeezed into 6-7 lessons. So this is the thing. So I had to put just general informations, which I don't test people on this. So he mentioned Dr. Abdul Hadi al-Fadl rahmatullah at the end of the book. He mentioned the companions of the infallibles, the abbreviations of the 8 compiled books of hadith, 4 early ones, 4 later ones. Remember Al-Kafi al-Sibsar, Tahdhib al-Lahd al-Faqih, and the 4 later ones, Bihar al-Anwar, Al-Wafi, and Wasail and Mustadrak al-Wasail. The abbreviations of all the books of Rejaal, 31 books. The names of 61 references he relied upon. And this one is done. وصلى الله على محمد وآله الطيبين الطاهرين. Now I'll give you a short exercise for 10 minutes. Okay, we are going to check the sanad of a hadith.